It's now being 4:31 p.m. The House will now consider the petition signed by 10,000 or more persons listed on the business paper. I call the member for Barilaro.
Thank you, Mr Acting Speaker. Look, tonight I proudly table the 10,000 plus signature petition in relation to aerial culling of brumbies in national parks. Let us never forget Guy Fawkes River National Park. Many would call it the Brumby Massacre of 2000. Hundreds of brumbies were slaughtered in the park by national parks, and hundreds of brumbies were shot from the air over a few days by 3 gunmen in helicopters. And due to the nature of the terrain being rough and covered with trees, the slaughter of the brumbies resulted in more than 1 bullet being needed for many of these horses. And there's plenty of evidence of the number of horses that went through painful deaths. One unfortunate horse was found with 11 bullet holes in it. And the day after the slaughter had ceased, horses were found still alive and dying an agonising and painful death. And that's why this petition is so important to the people of my community. Those that have been proactive in supporting the brumbies and the wild horses, not because of its cultural and heritage connection to our region, so important as part of our history and our heritage. Those horsemen, those horses have served this country well as police horses, as war horses. And that is why my community is so passionate to make sure that we never see aerial culling return to this state. And I will congratulate the Minister Speakman, for honouring an election commitment, a commitment of this government, that we will not return to aerial culling. And this week, the release of the draft Wild Horse Management Plan does detail that there will be no aerial culling by this government in New South Wales when it comes to the management of horse numbers in our parks, especially Kosciuszko in my electorate. But this means that the petition of 10,000 plus signatures, a victory for my community, for the people like Peter Cochrane, Lisa Caldwell, Alan Lanyon, deservedly deserve praise for the effort that they put in place to make sure that we got a petition like this to this parliament. But this week, of course, with the draft Wild Horse Management Plan, we begin a new campaign. A campaign to make sure that we look at horse numbers and the management of horses in parks, and we do it in a way that is humane, that looks at innovative new ways in managing those numbers. The draft report did speak about a 20-year target of 600 to 800. Well, I can say absolutely clear here tonight that I do not support that. I do not support that. And Mr Acting Speaker, he talks about reducing the numbers from roughly 6,000 to 3,000 over the next 5 to 10 years. I can say clearly tonight I do not support that. I will not support that, because I believe there is a right for those brumbies, those horses, those wild horses to remain in Kosciuszko National Parks here in New South Wales. Mr Acting Speaker, let's make this absolutely clear. When members of National NPWS go out during a consultation period and make it clear that from their perspective there should be 0 horses in the park, you must question, is the consultation period or the consultation process a done deal before we get to a proper result? I question that. My community questioned that. People, the pro-wild horse, the pro-brumby people, question if the consultation period was always, the end game was to reduce the number of horses in the park. And if you talk about 600 horses, you're talking about almost the extinction of brumbies in the park. I don't support that. And I think that the report clearly showed that even the independent technical group, the reference group, wanted to include aerial culling. Wanted to include aerial culling because it's a cost-effective method. And I can't support that. And I congratulate the government for not bowing to those that want aerial culling return. But I do have a problem still, that we're going to go into national parks, we're going to shoot horses, and we're going to leave their carcasses on the forest floor. I don't support that either. Mr Acting Speaker, the draft Wild Horse Management Plan is out for consultation. I encourage the same 10,000 plus people that have signed that original petition to make sure they contribute to this management plan. Fight for the horses that have a right, a heritage and cultural value in our parks. That we look at a sustainable number, that we look at a way in doing this that's innovative, that actually looks after the horses, sets clear targets in rehoming, and looks across the globe in better management of horse numbers. I believe horses deserve to stay in the park. I won't hide from that. I've spoken in this House on a number of occasions from my time elected that I'm pro-Brumby. Because if we're not pro-Brumby, we don't speak out for those horses, you know what, We may return to the days of aerial culling if we leave it to some within agencies of this government or in future governments, and that I can't support. I'm making it absolutely clear tonight that I'll continue the campaign with my community to make sure that we look at a reasonable number for horse management in this state, a target that is realistic, one that, of course, is done using evidence and science. And when the report talks about that we still have to put together a select committee to look at numbers because we're not sure about the number of numbers, how dare we even set a target in the first place?